Hi, and welcome to this video and welcome back to my office. Beginning to get a bit shaggy and I really need to cut my hair. But my crew cut that I use, even though it's fully charged, you can see won't last very long. It'll start to flash red. There you go. That's after full charge. So we really need to replace the battery in this, and that's what I'm going to do today. Okay, so what we have here is the Vidal Sassoon crew cut. As the original version for men. I got this in 2015, so I've had this 6 years, and as you can see, if I turn it on, it's fully charged, but you'll see it'll start out green, but it'll turn red pretty quick. And if you attempted to cut your hair with that, it would just kill it. It would just stop. It wouldn't be able to take the load. So it has this rotational blade system. You can see here in the background. This vibrates backwards and forwards, spinning these blades backwards and forwards, and you can't really get cut by them, but they do your hair really well. So that's turned off now. Okay, so you have a comb on this. You can lift this lever here at the front, you lift that up, and you can adjust the comb to different settings here. There's a little mark just here. I'm trying to get it to focus, but yeah, there you go. So it's a little mark there, and you just basically set that to the height that you want. It locks in. My recommendation would be that you take this outside. Hopefully you've got a compressor, and give everything a really good blowout so that you can start working on it and not have hair everywhere. I've already done that, obviously. These comb things, unfortunately I did knock this one day, and I had to get a new comb because I broke one of these legs off, and they're easy enough to get. They're only a few dollars for a spare, so that was good. So basically when the battery goes, you have to either replace it, throw the unit out. There is a new model too, obviously. There always is. But I figure that for the cost of the battery, I'll replace it. So let me show you how to pull it apart, and we'll get in there and replace the battery. Alright, well, let's discuss the tools we're going to need. We're going to need a posi drive. Get that in. That's the posi drive. I've discussed that before. You can see the extra little flutes in here, in this section here, to know it's a posi drive. So we're going to need that. We're going to need a smaller one as well. We're going to need some picks. You need picks for everything. Let's see if I can focus that. We're going to need picks for everything. We're going to need those. I'm also going to have a scalpel, a pick. May need them, may not need them, but we'll see how we do. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do with this is, I'm going to take these the 3 screws off around the base. So and I do have my magnetic holder here. See that? I'm just going to have that just off camera because I just put my screws in that. They don't get lost then. I think I picked up another screw from somewhere. turn that off now. Okay, so what I wanted to show you was just at the front here where you unlock it. You see on the base here there's a little channel where that lock runs. If you look around here, all three, there's three of them. That area looks the same, but it's missing that channel. Oops. And they all three look the same, but it's the other two here are missing that channel for that. So it's a good idea to remember that that channel goes to the front. Okay, so let's have a look. Trying to get the height right. There we go. Oh, it comes off there. And so do the blades. There's a spring in the back. So you can see that rotates. There, the spring just around the middle of this bearing here. Just around the middle of that bearing. That rotates. And the end spins in this. Yeah, in that section there. Around that spigot and that motor. So you can see if I turn that on, that little thing turns in there, and that causes this lot to move backwards and forwards. Okay, so what's next? Okay, well, we got these two screws there. That'll unlock it from the rear part of this, so we'll undo those. The two I took off. Okay, so that's loose at the back now. Take that little rubber insulator off. We could take these two inner screws there off. I'm not sure that they're meant to come out at this stage, but we will do that anyway. I think they're holding the motor down inside the case. Yeah, just lost the lighting. That is something. Okay, alright, so that section's now loose. Okay, so now we have to go back up to the top. Now here's where your picks come in handy. Because just looking at that, where the picks come in handy is the fact that you can't actually get to any screws around the top. So you need to use a pick in here along the edge, and that'll help, that'll prop it up. Let's see, there we go. We'll get another pick in here. You can see it's just popped that little plastic tab up, and I'll pop down the other side. There we go. Okay, and so that's just held on by these 6 little tabs here around the outside. Okay, now we've exposed the underneath and underneath that panel. So now we can see we've got 6 screws here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, yep, 5 and 6. So let's remove those. I'm using the posi drive for this. Now let's have a look. That screw looks the same as the screws for the case. So, but we'll keep them, but to really say, well, I can feel that as I'm undoing that, this is pushing up, which means that there's a spring somewhere underneath that's actually pushing up on the top part of the case here. So just in the interest of controlling this. Okay, so I'm taking that away. And that's our spring there, I think, at the front. And that's part of this, the locking mechanism for the comb. So that just slides out. So I'll put that in there. And we'll put the spring in with everything else. Okay, so there we have it. It's the inside of it anyway. Big on our switch there. There's a load on the motor. That won't last very long. Alright, so the next part, we have to get this little board out, I'd say, on this end, and everything else will come out. Oh, there's two screws in there. Can you see them? They're down, way down inside there. There, they've just come into view now. So I'm going to have to take those off. And I'd say that will release the bottom frame. So if I can pick those two out. Those two are quite, they look the same as most of them, the plastic ones. Okay, so that releases the lower part of the comb part there to the main module. Yeah. Okay, so now we need to get all this out. We unhooked the battery before, so we've got to try and lever this up a little bit. So let's see what we can do here. Lever that up. Oops. Let's push down on that and the whole thing comes out from the case. Okay, so we have our motor and everything. We have our motor, little charging board there, the main controller board, and on the back we have our battery. Okay, I'll give you a better look at it. That's a 3.7 volt IRC 18500 1400 milliamps. Okay, so the battery I took out was 49 millimeters long by a diameter of 18 millimeters. So that's the battery we've got. Let's check our spare battery out against this one. You can see it's the same size, and you read the specifications there. You'll see it's an 18, yep, ICR 18500 NM 1400 milliamps. It's the same. Okay, so basically we're in a situation, we do have there's a little sensor here on the side of it. I'd say that's to monitor the temperature of the battery, just in case it overheats. You see this battery is actually, it's on these tabs. So there'll be less margin for that, but what I'm going to try and do is what I might do is take these tabs off the actual battery. I'm going to take these tabs off and I'm going to try and solder them to the new battery. What I've decided to do is to get the heat gun out. So I've got a heat gun here. I'm hoping the heat gun will melt that. We need some solder as well, and as well as that, you're going to need this. Without flux paste, it's very difficult to solder directly to a battery fast enough to, to get a good bond. So one thing I'll be doing is I'll be getting I've got to go and get some sandpaper as such, or some emery cloth. You can't really see that very well, but I'm going to go and scuff these up. I'll be back in just a second. So I've scuffed up the battery, which hopefully you can see there. There you can see I've scuffed up both ends of it. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put this here like that. Use a little bit of the flux here. And I'm going to put that onto into the battery. That's just going to help with. I'm just going to build up. I'm going to tin it basically. So I'm going to put a bit of solder on it. My solder iron is up to speed, or up to temperature as such. Alright, let's see if I can tin this. Okay. Alright, that gave us a nice solid solder joint to the battery. Don't need much actually. There is solder in normal solder wire. Solder if you're from somewhere else. The trick here is to get it hot enough fast enough. Get it to stick somewhere. There you go. Don't worry about the smoke, that's just normal for. So there you go. So we've now got our battery tinned on both ends, and there we go. Okay, so too bad, got that off. Okay, this could be tricky. Hopefully I can do it in front of the camera. So basically what I'm attempting to do is to get some focus here. Okay, so what I'm attempting to do here is break these bonds across the top here so that I can solder these tabs onto the new battery. I don't know if this will work. I have done this before, and there we go. So we've freed up the battery. Excellent. Alright, so now what we need to do, the new battery in that place. It's looking like my little thing about what tools you need at the beginning is turning out to be a bit of nonsense, because you need a few more tools. Okay, so I'm just going to use a pair of flat pliers here, and I know I'm going to have the same problem at the other end. Sorry if I'm just using the pliers just to flatten these tabs out so they're going to sit up against the battery a lot better. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tin them. So let me do that. Yeah, that's not in focus, is it? Sorry, I'm trying to. Let's see. Oh. Now, Now I have to put the battery in there. Okay. Okay, sorry, I had to take that off camera to solder that. But you can see it's soldered on. That's not something you really need to see. Soldering. Where are we? Oh, it's pretty low. Okay, so that's soldered on. And let's see. The big test, I guess. Oh, look at that. It's working. Alright. Now we need to reverse everything we did before. Okay. And to power everything down. Okay. Just going to peel this back here. This temperature sensor. I'm just going to put a little dab of the hot glue in behind it. Glue there. I'm just going to hold that in until it cools down. Fortunately, hot glue does cool down pretty quick. Okay, you can see there it's a little bit of it leaked out, but that'll hold the cell on there, so that's good. Okay, so that's all done now. Now we just need to put it all back in the case. So let's start off with the motor. I guess we'll put the motor down into its spot. Hopefully the battery will fit on the board there, as it does. Oops, can we see that? So the motor goes in. Yeah, I think I'll put the two screws into the bottom there. That's not in focus, is it? Alright, I'm trying to... Okay, just test that, make sure it works. Yep, still working, good. Okay, so now we've got the motor in position. We put this, push the board down. This one, board has to go here. Okay, now there's nothing holding down this board here. It has got like 3 little spaces where it has to sit in. And I think that once you move all the wires, run the wires down so that they're behind posts and things where they're supposed to go. There we go. Okay. Everything seems to be okay there. Still running. And the spring for the front part here and the 2 screws that go with it, right? So, yeah. And that goes this way. These are 2 posts. Oops, can you see them? Those 2 posts there go into the bottom here. Okay. So now that locking ring sits there. We have to screw in the base, and it takes just basically the standard case screws. So those ones, standard case screws, but of course you've got to get them down into that valley down there. Okay, now that has come out. That foam has come out, but I'm just going to push the foam back into its little recess there. It's not stuck down or anything, it's just in there. So there you go, that's all right. Okay, so we screwed that back in. Down in here, I'm not sure if you can see it, there's a little dimple just here. Anyway, the spring fits over the top of that, like that, and that provides that spring for that at the front. Okay, so we have to put the top back on now, and there's a lug. Let's see, get it. So you can see it right here. Okay, that has to fit into the spring. Right, so if you push it into the spring and then push it down. That's the only thing on this that can catch you out, I think. Now all I'm going to do is just start these screws so I can't fling apart, and then we have to add, of course, the other ones. Have to add the other screws. That's a smaller one. Okay, so that's all sitting nice and neat around the edge, you can see. Switch works. And yeah, alright, so now I have to get on with the next bottom bit. Alright, sorry about that, phone call. Happens all the time. So okay, here we are. We've got this, and obviously it runs for more than 2 seconds, doesn't die, battery's good. So we need to move on to the next step. To do the top there, now we have to put that cover back on, which is just a matter of pushing those clips in around the edge, like that. There you go. Okay, so just going to insert this bit here. Look at this here. This one, this little rubber groove. Okay, you can see the 2 round bits and the square bit. The square bit goes down into the blade section, and then you have to fit that over the top of it. Get that out of the way. So on the edge you've got this sort of pattern here. This pattern here, 3 times, right around the edge. Right as you go around, but only one of them, right, has this slot here, and that slot is the locking mechanism. So this bit here at the front. So when you put the whole thing together, of course, that bit needs to be lined up. Okay, so this bit here needs to be lined up. You reach through the back here, right, and hold that in place. Okay, so I'm using my thumb to hold that in place. Okay, and now I look for that slot again. Here it is, and I'm going to line that up with that, and it goes in. Okay, so I'm going to put those screws in while I'm holding it, which is going to be not always straightforward. I'm not sure if you can see that. Oh, I guess you can now. Yep, so that's it. And you put the the comb back on. Remember the dot. Here we go. The dot. Takes a bit to get in. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's obviously the height. So there you go. It's running. And it goes for more than 5 seconds before it stops. So what I'm going to go do now is I'm going to go put that on charge. I'll let it charge up, and then I'll have to cut my hair with it, and I'll come back and do the closing for the video. Okay, it's happily charging away there, and yep, I'll be back soon with my haircut. Okay, well, it looks fully charged. It's been 3 hours. Oh, that still works. Here's my spray again on this. You see it's running a bit stiff, so let's see. Okay, much better. Get her lubed up and she's ready to go. Well, there you go. Okay, so it's done a really good job of my hair, did it all. It's still fully charged and running, which is really fantastic. That's what you get when you get a new battery. So you just saw in a clip how I sprayed the blades with the cleaner to get it going after I put it back together again, because obviously the lubrication got wiped off in pulling it apart. But really, that cleaner I've shown you before, that's great when you've finished using this or any of the trimmers that you might have, cleaning them with that spray cleaner and lubricant is a really good idea. However, before you use them, when you take them out charged and you're ready to use them, you should always put a few drops of light machine oil or sewing machine oil on the blades. That's what the manufacturers recommend. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Tips and Tricks and you've got something out of it, and maybe you can recover your crew cut if it needs a new battery. So what can I say? Okay, well, you all look after each other, take care, be kind to one another, and we'll see you on the next episode of Tips and Tricks.